Hello there and welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure, the first one of 2025 and hopefully the first of many in this glorious year. Today I'm going to talk you through the very first piece of my Blitzkrieg early war German bolt-action force, being a Panzer 38T, T for Czechish, albeit of course if you want a bit of a deep dive into the actual nature and history of the tank in question, this is quite fun to watch. I mean, this guy has a wide range. I'm not sure from watching his Middle Eastern stuff how much credence to give him about anything, but the thoughts he has about the Panzer 38T were most interesting.
Well, the box, starting off with that, gives you a bit of an overview of the Panzer 38T, originally of Czech design, but when the Germans occupied Czechoslovakia in 1938, they get all of the manufacturing capability of that, and the T in 38T is for Czechish. Well liked by its crews for its dependability and ease of repair, they made 1,400 of them, and they saw active service during the invasion of Poland, the Battle of France, and the Eastern Front. Its lightweight made it ideal as a fast attack and reconnaissance vehicle, too light for fighting heavier enemy vehicles, and they stopped making them in 1942, albeit the German allies used them, and you get some lovely water slide decals for all of them. And then it was the basis for the Hetzer and the Marder tank destroyers. They show you three different types of ways of camouflaging it. There's this kind of Panzer grey and green, very early war France camouflage. The crews just whitewash it once they're fighting around Moscow in 41-42, and that's a Romanian version. So the sprues, oops, so they give you quite a few little goodies here. I've never really used these to mark a tank as being, as having been shot, but nothing wrong with that. I don't know if these are for the latest version of bolt action. I mean, obviously the decals will be. So yes, I think in the beginning, like in the invasion of Poland, they just had these white crosses, but that just meant they were used for target practice. And so I think that might be for the invasion of France, and I think that might be for Russia or the other way around, who knows. And then these are, I think, Bulgarian and I think Romanian, but I'm not going to use it for that. How many Romanian forces have you seen floating around?
Romanians.
Nice bag. You've got your tracks, the wheels, and you know, when I think back to all those little Airfix kits I made as a little boy where you had to sort of assemble each wheel and put it on. I mean, what a pointless exercise that was. God bless tanks made for wargaming. The hull, and then the differing bits of the turret. What I find interesting about the crew there is I was looking online for decent crew. The Warlord metal crew look a bit kind of goofy, and I couldn't find any other early war 28mm metal crew. But there's nothing wrong with these plastics, because the earlier Warlord plastics from when they started off, like the T-34 that I've got, the crew look pretty awful, whereas these look no worse than their, you know, perfectly lovely infantry. Now, I don't like their infantry because they all look slightly guerrilla-like. I think the Perry plastics are too thin for me, but I've got these Sikhs, these Warlord Sikhs for North Africa, and I think I'm going to get rid of them because they just look big, fat, and goofy, like all of the Warlord infantry. So I think Victrix has a bit of an offering these days, don't they? A 28mm offering that's coming out. They've got some late war Germans, which I don't need, but we'll see what else they do. The only thing is that Victrix seems to go absolutely wild in terms of folded clothing. I mean, you know, I'm looking at my clothes. There are some folds in it, but every single part of it is not folded, making me look like the sands of Dune. Anyway, and what would I say about these pieces, actually? They're all absolutely beautiful. As I mentioned, I wasn't that impressed by the T-34 model, which I think was an earlier model of theirs. Albeit, the T-34 was designed to be very simple, whereas this is full of like little complex rivets and things from an age before mass warfare. But the pieces are beautifully sculpted, and they're all kind of clipped off very nicely, except, I would say, there were some tiny pieces which, they had no choice, like a little bar there so you can pull yourself up onto the turret, and then the little hooks for dragging things, where are they? There. I clipped one of these off and it went flying somewhere, and who knows where it is, but I'm going to fix that with loads of mud. And so the assembly is not particularly complex, albeit quite complex for a little light tank. So you basically throw together the tracks in a very simple way. You have to make sure these are the right way around. That was the only thing that I did slightly wrong and had to change. Thank heavens, even plastic glue doesn't dry that fast. Then you just put on the rest of the chassis. The turret in the beginning looked a bit intimidating, but actually all these pieces clip together very beautifully. I was worried that, with these number of pieces for a turret, that there'd be kind of gaps and stuff, but as you'll see, that's not really a problem. And at this point I thought, great, I'm done. But then there was a fair amount of fiddliness of these tiny pieces, albeit not all of them are needed for all of the Ausführungen, what is it, Ausführung? Yeah, the different versions. I just like rivets. Who doesn't like rivets? And I'll keep that late war tank driver for some gigantic tiger or something, one of the big cats. Look at this. They give you a bit of a precise painting guide. That was it is Bulgarian. I'm not even sure who sells Bulgarian miniatures. Right, so where is the one that I did earlier? Here it is. Here it is, and the turret moves around very nicely. I've realized that you only need, in most games, to have a dude sticking out of one of your tanks, if you've got like a group of them, to be the commander tank. Everything else can be not hulled down, that's the wrong phrase, buttoned down. And will anyone really notice that I've lost one of the little hooks to drag stuff? And I could have put that bit of track on straight, but again, what I tend to do is just get stirred in mud and go around that part, because it has been driving through mud and no one's cleaning the wheels, hosing down the wheels, and it's good fun. That's removable. I'm not going to remove it, but it is removable, and you probably should remove it before you spray paint it, because I have half stuck down many a turret on a tank by not removing it during the spray painting stage. I'm sure you could put all manner of different bits and bobs to show that as they go deeper and deeper and deeper into Russia or wherever, they've had to bring everything with them. On the subject of which,
some of the inspiration I got actually was from watching this history hit program on YouTube. It's quite long, and it's the diary of some young German tank officer, and I'm pretty sure he's in a Panzer 38, and it shows him kind of starting off, obviously a bit ideologically indoctrinated by some crazy Nazi beliefs, but mostly psychologically there, and they go on this long, obviously murderous road trip through the Soviet Union, but going deeper and deeper into this heart of darkness kind of journey, like in the Soviet Union, doing deeper and darker, nastier things, but they're just stuck in these like little tanks, and obviously it ends badly, because I haven't got to the end, but I think they get diverted to Army Group South and Stalingrad, so it doesn't end well. But the bottom line is it's all in this little T-30, in this little 38T.
and so what does the Warlord rulebook say about it. This is the new Warlord rulebook, Bolt Action 3. And I think tonight I might get my first game. Let's try and zoom out. Oops. High-end production quality as ever. So what have we got for a Panzer 38T? 108 points for inexperienced, 135 for regular. I'd go for regular. What's the point of having an inexperienced tank that bulks at everything? We've got a light anti-tank gun, and then a medium machine gun in the turret, and one facing forward. But you can get rid of the one facing forward, because apparently command crews would remove that machine gun and then use it as some kind of radio or extra radio. And the kit allows you to substitute a little plate instead of that to accommodate that difference. And I thought that these Panzer 38Ts were just like little clockwork tanks, but they're not really different to a Panzer III early war, which just has an extra coaxial medium machine gun. They've got the same hull damage and not very different weaponry, and so the cost isn't very, very different. The only issue I would say with these tanks is if you just think about how big they are compared to most 28mm infantry, they don't look completely right. So that tank crewman looks perfectly fine, and I suppose there's the infantrymen, so they're the same. But these infantry just look pretty humongous, albeit if it is a light tank, maybe that's what it is. And I imagine if you're walking around a museum looking at this, maybe an adult would be, eyes as high as that. It's not a Tiger tank, I guess. But anyway, it's been my mission to try and paint all these up, these Soviets. And I'll show you in the next video maybe how I've managed to do an unusually speedy job because of how easy it is to paint them. But anyway, I'm planning to, I think, use the Crusader Germans, Crusader early war Germans by North Star, because, as I said, I'm not really interested in big hulking Warlord infantry, albeit this tank is beautiful. And where would we be without Warlord having put World War II on the map of all of the GW crew? I'm not sure many were playing Rapid Fire or Battle Group, although I do love Battle Group, and my 15mm is progressing apace. Over Christmas I made loads of 15mm Soviet tanks, but that's a bit of a long-term project. As I mentioned a few times, I've started trying to just collect things to play people who already are passionate about something and are playing something. And so the point of this early war German force is really to play someone with an early war French force.
But because I haven't quite pulled together this blitzkrieg German force yet, I've only got my Soviets, which are the most amazingly malleable force. You can have early war Gumps, you can have late war where everyone's, a veteran guards unit of the Soviet Union with loads of Panzerfausts and IS-2s and IS-3s, and so they're very malleable. And we thought, this mate of mine at the friendly local gaming store who has his early war French force, well, I would just have an early war Russian force, and we'd imagine that the French were dumb enough in Vichy to sign up like the Hungarians and the Romanians to invade Russia in 1941.
And apropos of nothing, the all-important size comparison against over-snacking hamster. And just to give you a sense of what's on the workbench, these are some kind of national militia, whatever the Russians called them in World War II. People they just grabbed a rifle and gave them to, and a bit more random heavy artillery, which with the new rules for bolt action, you can just have it all.
But anyway, I think we'll leave it there for now. Keep well, keep safe. Do subscribe if you haven't already. If you're interested in more musings, we have and by we I mean me, I have a great range of projects for the year, of which bolt action will be one. But, we're talking fantasy and 50mm World War II and Kings of War and all manner of other fun stuff I have coming forwards, plus loads of old hammer bits and bobs that I've got sitting, being slowly stripped, and one day will become part of something. See you around soon.